This show is, I decided that what I would like to do, because it's retrospective in nature, is deal with my commercial photography. And although they've taken quite a few of the commercial works out, there's still some in here. And usually when you have a show, it's all landscape, still life, portraits, things of that nature. But I wanted to show people what I did for a living. And that's why I like these 3 photographs. They're a series I did for the Kaiser Coal Company. This mine is at 1,200 feet in the mine at Sunnyside, Utah. And the problem that I confronted there was the company wanted pictures of the miners, but Richard Avedon had just done a book called Workers in the West, in which he only photographed people that were unusual and, frankly, a little bit circus-like. So when I got there, they were not very happy with photographers. And so my job, the way I saw it, was to show miners the way they were, make them look like human beings, which they are. They're working people. They work for a living. They make a good living. This particular miner is probably a 3rd or 4th generation miner, and is very honest and wouldn't do anything else. And I wanted to show that. This man down here, the welder, and his whole job was to do nothing but repair the scoop. He's inside of a scoop, and his whole life is spent welding, putting this rebar in place. And not someone that's going to get on the front page, but you know, pretty happy guy. He liked his work, and I liked him. A lot of times, like the first picture, it's done in total darkness, and so you really don't know who you're photographing. And the way you know you're photographing someone is you reach out and you touch them, and the camera is pre-focused at 3 feet. So I wore it around my neck, and anything that was straight ahead of me, that's what you got. This is, to me, a classic United States industrial architecture at its best. It's part of the wash system of coal. Coal comes out of the ground and then goes through a whole bunch of cycles on conveyors. These are all covered conveyors, and the coal goes on those and is washed, and then the last place it goes through an elevator, which is this one shaft here, and then into a train. Well, I got pretty involved with the coal industry for a couple of days, and I wanted people to see that. It isn't the same as coming down here and doing something like this, an old bristlecone stump in the White Mountains. It's a nice photograph. It's okay, but to me it doesn't have the intensity and the importance of the picture of the miners. And so the time might come with me when I completely eliminate these photographs and do only the work that I did commercially. On this back wall, I went to Finland in 1989 to photograph this building. For Architecture magazine. They were doing a whole issue on Scandinavian architecture, and they needed this building, which is a Museum of Fine Art in Rovaniemi, which is in northern Finland, right on the Arctic Circle. Well, I got there, and like the architect, we became friends, and I stayed 3 years and did a lot of other work. This is a photograph of a shopping mall right in the heart of Helsinki, and they do that a lot. The Finns are pretty clever at restoration of utilitarian things. Well, I'm a lot more comfortable here photographing things like this and the mines in Utah, and this example of funerary architecture in Turku, Finland. I'm a lot more comfortable there than I am out doing photographs of Yosemite or Yellowstone or Glacier National Park, where I just came back from. This is kind of my meat, is illustrating for other people and doing something that works for them. A lot of times a photograph like this and this, both of them are done as demonstrations in teaching. I'm teaching the zone system. Well, come in here and figure out where the important lows are and the important highs, and modifying the development and getting the result, and usually with a Polaroid print. And so a lot of the photographs that you see on the wall are examples from workshops where I've frankly just dealt primarily with the student. One area that I photograph a lot is here. This is in Canyon de Chelly, and what I photograph when I'm there is American Indian rock art. Here's the rock art right here. Pictographs, probably, and I'm as justified as anyone else to say they're probably 1,000 years old. But I'm intrigued by what the American Indians of 1,000 plus years went back did, and there's another one around the corner here. No one to date has successfully interpreted the way Indians worked on rock and what they meant. Lots of people are making guesses, but this one obviously is a birthing scene. It's a newborn child and the mother here, and I make no effort to tell you what it is. I only make an effort to record it in some manner so that in the future historians can maybe work from it. But this is in New Mexico, and it's an area that I work a lot up, close to Farmington. This is about one of 20, and it's Mojave Cloud number 3. So there's about 20 of this, and it's just north of the town of Mojave, on the Mojave Desert. We were coming home from a workshop one time, and this cloud popped up in the windshield, and we stopped and photographed it for an hour. The cloud stayed there, it never went away. And then we noticed that as we stood there photographing, and cars were coming down Highway 14, which is the main artery there, no one saw it. No one saw it at all. The cars just went right on by. We stayed there for several hours, and it turned from this brilliant golden orangey color to a deep, deep purple black cloud, and it never moved. It stayed that way. And the Owens Valley and the Mojave Desert in that area are known for their cloud formations. That's proof in the pudding. This is in Finland, in a town called Kauniainen, and the architect was Christian Gulliksen, who was one of Finland's prominent architects. And this building, these are light wells, and they're bringing light like a periscope into a subterranean chapel. And that's the whole purpose of the wells, is to gather light and turn it twice and shoot it into this room. Well, when in Finland, when a church decides to build a building, they don't just go out and hire a contractor or an architect. It's a contest, and whoever wins the contest gets the job. And Christian got this job. And this church serves the Finnish Lutheran community on Sundays. It serves the Swedish Lutheran community on Saturdays. On Saturday night, all the religious artifacts are temporary and they're moved out, and the chapel becomes a dance hall. It also is a day school, and it has a crematorium attached to it. In the chapel, which this is part of, cantilevered out over the whole chapel is a soundproof children's room with plate glass windows. So during the service, the children can see their parents, but no one can hear them. They have child care people up there, and so the children come and play at the same time the parents are in church. The Finns are incredibly inventive people and very, very practical, and working for them for 3 years was a real pleasure. It would be like in here, looking up there and seeing glass and seeing 40 or 50 little faces all yelling and screaming and not hearing a word. Incidentally, when Christian got the contract, the purchase order telling him what he had to do, his only requirement by the church was that when you enter the church from any door, that you smell fresh bread being baked and fresh coffee. Every Finnish church has a huge kitchen, and they use them constantly. And bread is a big thing in Finland. So he said that was a requirement, that every hallway and everything had to be such that it had access to the kitchen smell. Working in Finland was a charm. There was a savings and loan in Monterey, California called Monterey Savings and Loan. And they grew and were going to build a new building, and they were going to hire a design company that specialized in savings and loans and did gaudy exteriors with plastic. And the building they had designed was going to have 3-story high blue louvers on the front of it. Well, the city of Monterey was able to convince them to go to Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, San Francisco architects, and do a building which still stands to this day. And this is the basement of that building. And Nat Owings personally oversaw the construction. But I had the job for a little over a year of going back to the building once a month and photographing exactly the same thing to show progress. So I showed this. This is just one stage of the whole building was formed concrete. And in the basement, I carried a 100-watt bulb or two on drop cords, and that was the only light that was there, was just what I could get with a drop cord. But I worked for that SOM, and their local company was called, at that time, Hall and Goodhue, Gordon Hall and Donald Goodhue, and they did a lot of prominent buildings in the Monterey area, and I photographed quite a few of them. I think that's it.